Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.
Next level.
That is quality, green education and entertainment.
All right.
Which I was mentioning today in a newsletter that I was sending out to stockholders of the Biofriendly business.
Really?
Yes, about how great we are.
How great we are?
How we're award-winning.
I hope that's what it said at the top of the newsletter. Is
No,
it said, we're great.
I hit it in the back at the end.
Okay, that's a good call.
It was shuffled away. I talked about, things that people care about.
Things.
No, we care about us. Biofriendly Podcast.
Yes, it should have. Okay, so it at least started with just a photo of you and me smiling, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. What are we supposed to do more of according to our fans? There's something we're supposed to, maybe it's a voice or an accent or be more good at your job.
Be more good. Yeah. Well, I think everything's great. Everybody's happy. We have a fan of the show, Andrea, who thinks it's great when we go, baby.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah,
we were on a walk having lunch.
Yes.
And I said, baby.
Yeah. And I said, we have a fan of when we say baby on the show.
Baby.
Which is, hey, hold your calls. She might be calling to say thank you for talking about
Andrea,
it.
come on.
Not right now.
Not during
the show. We're trying to do a show.
It's, later.
Yeah.
We could totally talk to you about this, but...
Yes. The baby, the origin of that is... Wait, I just said it like Schitt's Creek. I just said baby.
The babes?
Yeah, remember the Moira? She goes, you've got to help the babies.
That's right.
No, ours is baby.
No, the other ones go Beeb, right?
Yeah, Beeb. Beeb. Listen, Beeb. Ours comes from... Good Cops and Tumbleweed, and it's
Derek
Hagen.
Q. Hagen.
Mm-hmm. Is that his middle initial?
No.
It is now.
It is now.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome, Derek.
But we're going to go with that. Mm-hmm. The Q stands for Pops.
Uh-huh. Great.
He's named after his
father.
Silent
Q.
It's a silent Q. He's named after... We're gonna say that his middle name is after his dad's name, which is Pops.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
So that's he would say, it's funny because he says it a little bit in the series that we made, but it became a thing after the shows were made.
Yeah, well, so when he gets into the characters, his joke is, he'll go, bang, baby.
Yeah, bang, baby.
Ned, baby.
Perkins, baby.
Perkins, baby.
So now that's just become part of our... tag of just regular conversations.
Yes, absolutely.
You just go, it's time for lunch, baby. And if the baby, the pitch of the word goes into this high region at the end, you go like, baby.
Well, of course, then we joke to the point that if it goes far enough, you can have a baby stroke.
Yeah. Like that. So that was the comment on the show.
So more babies.
More babies.
Fine. Obviously, we've opened the show with plenty of babies.
Yes, we have. Well, there you go. Hope that was full of laughs, Andrea.
So hey, if you this is why you call in, not during the show.
Not during the show,
but why you call in afterwards. You send on the painless screen. You can send things you like, things you'd like us to talk about, things that require more attention.
And things that you don't like.
Yes.
If you go, I am tired of Jacob's, burps.
Yeah, no, I am. I am for sure. So we could definitely stop those.
Burping.
In fact, if you guys could comment on that.
Yeah, please. If we could start a forum called "And Jacob's Burps Now."
We should make a subreddit. That's the big jazz that everybody's doing.
Yes,
they make a subreddit.
No more Jacob burp.
Or they go to Clubhouse and they talk about it.
That's the new hotness.
Yeah.
Clubhouse. We're so cool. We're both in there.
We're in the Clubhouse.
Oh yeah.
Not that I know how to use it.
I don't know how to use it.
But I'm in it.
I don't get it really.
Yeah, I get notifications that all of my friends are in a meeting somewhere, and I'm like, I could totally talk to blah blah that I haven't seen in a while, but then I don't go.
Maybe we should Clubhouse. We should do we turn on the recording, and it's the recording of the podcast. It's happening live. So if you're lucky enough, you could listen to the podcast. We should have a
podcast Clubhouse room.
Yeah,
where we just do it live,
and then they can hear it. They can listen in,
and they can hear our swears and our mistakes,
the whole thing,
our errors.
We don't do any of those things.
No, we're good. Stop. We did the baby. You don't have to call in.
You don't have to call in, guys.
We're popular right now.
We are.
Anyway,
We're the clubhouse.
Do call in. Not
Yes.
now, but call in. And
Yeah.
if you can get in touch with us through the painless screen, through Twitter,
Twitter,
through Facebook,
Instagram.
If you
All of
happen
them.
to know one of our phone numbers or emails, I guess you could spam us.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Go for it.
Yeah, and tell us what we should talk about in our opening Chavez.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
The opening Chavez. Well, today we're going to talk about a subject that isn't really affecting you and I per se.
Okay.
Right at this moment.
Good.
But
Do
it
I know
is-
what we're talking about?
No,
today?
you don't.
I don't.
Today
Okay,
he's
good.
going in completely clueless.
We're flying blind.
Flying blind. He's in airplane mode and he's flying blind.
I locked in.
We're going to talk
For those
about.
of you who were not watching but just listening, that was me locking into airplane
when
mode.
we say airplane mode, he's got to get really focused.
That's right.
We are going to talk about something that we do have firsthand experience in, and secondhand, and third hand, and fourth hand.
Eating pizza.
No.
No.
Polar Vortex.
Yeah.
See? Because the
Oh,
entire country
sweet.
is
in one. Except for
us.
You know, when everybody said, move out of Los Angeles, leave
Yeah.
Los Angeles, that's,
Yeah.
the government's a disaster and the rates are
gotta
too
go.
high and the homes are expensive,
And
get
then
out,
the
go
rest
away.
of the country.
And we said, no,
We're staying.
we're staying.
We're going to stick this out.
We're going to stick this out. And now,
No.
sunshine.
Sunshine, and I'm warm, and it's a beautiful day. We're going to go for a walk later. There's no snow on our
Go
way.
get a salad.
Yeah.
And it'll
yeah.
make sense.
Yeah. Get some cold food, because we can.
Because we can, and it's tasty.
It's tasty.
I might get a Frappuccino.
Yeah, I think you should. I think we should get as many Arctic drinks as we can.
How many of our fans want to kill us
I
right
know.
now?
I'm so sorry because
What was
here's
that?
the crazy
Well, yeah.
thing is everybody that I grew up with, and then all of my family, they're in Chicago,
Yeah.
they're in the Midwest, they're down in Oklahoma.
I mean,
and
it
they're-
went deep. It's like in Oklahoma, it's in Texas.
It's in
like
Texas.
It's deep. It's in Louisiana. It's in like Alabama.
everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. I haven't seen the picture yet, but my wife was telling me, she said there's this, there's like a cartoon going around where it's in Louisiana, and instead of chains on their tires, it's Mardi Gras beads, and they're going, we're not ready for this.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love it.
So yeah, everybody's covered in snow, and as most of you listeners of the show know, I grew up in Oklahoma, and we had winter, but winter was like an inch of snow,
Right.
maybe two, got a little cool. But
It was like fun snow.
once
a year.
Once a year. Yeah, it happens a couple times. And a big thing that
That's
happened.
most of the South. I mean, that's
Yes.
most of the southern half of
Totally.
the country. Like we don't get it over in like from the desert
No.
back because of what it is.
Right.
But most of the country, the South,
Yeah.
you'll get a couple inches of
Couple
snow.
inches
It's
of
fun
snow.
snow. They get fun
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah. And during my childhood, I think I've told this story on the show before, so if you've heard it, you're going to get a little repeat. But if you haven't heard it, a big deal were snow days during
Yeah,
school.
totally.
We got a couple inches, and if you had just a few more. When I was growing up, you would watch the news at night, and they would list the schools on the bottom of the screen. And when you see your school, it was like, this is the best news ever. Tomorrow there's no school. We're gonna go play in the snow, and it was a
Yes.
really, really, really big deal.
Yeah.
And then I moved to the Chicagoland area at the end of high school, and I remember I looked out the window and the snow started falling, and I looked at the guy next to me and I said, "Do you think they'll cancel school?" And he was like, "Where are you from?" No, they'll never cancel school. It could be 18 inches outside and they would not cancel school.
Because
So,
they know what they're doing.
They know what they're
Because
doing.
they deal with it all the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but beyond that, we lived through a polar vortex.
We
Noel.
did.
When
We
did it
absolutely-
happen?
We shot a movie.
Yes.
And it was in Wisconsin.
Yes.
And it was by the lake up there. They got a couple great lakes.
Yep.
Up in that area.
Up in the Upper Peninsula.
Yes, absolutely. And we were not supposed to have that much snow. It was predicted that we'd be fine. And then the polar vortex came in out of nowhere
Out of nowhere.
and dropped
It was 21 inches in
21
one night.
inches in one night. And I think that over the period of the week, it was something like 6 flipping feet. It was insane.
He was insane.
Yeah.
And do you remember, Noel and I went to Germany for a film festival to promote the film, and we were doing a Q&A. He and I were standing up on stage, and one of the German audience members asked the question, said, how could you make it be believable in your film that one night there's no snow on the ground, and then the next morning it's just covered in snow? That's not believable. And we were like, That's exactly what happened, and that is what
we made it believable because that's what occurred.
Yeah, that's what occurred. So he was completely dumbfounded that could happen.
Yeah,
and it did.
But it's so common up there. I mean,
It is.
not like that,
Yes,
but like
yes.
but similar things. It happens enough that literally Pops, who we've already referenced once today on the show.
Yes, you're going to do it again.
Was up there
Yes.
with us, helping to shoot this thing. He lives in the area. That's one of the reasons we chose it.
Yep.
Derek and his family live there, and
That's right.
It was a friendly community.
Yes.
Pops was like, well, if you're going to need grass, we better throw the tarp down. And he throws down a 60-foot by 60-foot tarp on the front yard.
Yeah.
And
was
all the
genius.
snow went on that. And so when we were done shooting the snow scenes, we shoveled it off. We put that out of the way.
Pulled it back.
And there was grass again that we
Yeah.
could shoot.
It was brilliant.
An earlier scene that we lost.
Yeah.
It was so the folks down there, they
know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's why school doesn't close.
Yeah.
Down there, up there.
Yeah, and we had to tell everybody on our crew while we were filming, if you tried to walk across the snow-covered tarp, you would slip.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to fall. So everybody had to know to like steer clear of that area as we were leaving the place.
Yeah, we had to put signs on the sidewalk because people would walk
Please
in front
don't
of the
walk in
place
the yard.
and
You're
eating shiitake mushrooms.
They were unusually in
eating-
season that year.
Strangely enough, there were shiitake mushrooms everywhere, and they were eating them as they fell on their bums.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, we lived through one, and I thought this subject was pertinent because I was like, as I got up this morning, I was like, the entire country, Oklahoma, Texas, the East Coast, all I'm getting from my family members are pictures of feet and feet of snow. And they're going, this is crazy. And the people I grew up with are saying, it's 8 degrees, it's 0 degrees, and this is uncommon to happen like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like,
So
what
do you think's causing it, Jacob?
What is it? Well, and the funny thing is I know that we have done subjects in the past where we say it's not all climate change.
Just climate
not
change,
just climate
right.
change. But that is not to say that we don't believe that there is absolutely something happening with our Earth's climate, and this probably has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, you might think so.
Yeah.
One would think. That,
One would think. And here's the thing is that now you guys are smart.
Yes, you
our
are.
Listeners are smart.
We actually we did research.
Yeah.
And put out both surveys and mathematical services.
They are intelligent.
We know that our audience is the smartest in the world.
If you're going into iTunes and Spotify and you're looking up Earth Science Podcast, step one, you're smart.
You care about being the smartest in the room.
Yes. So but for the person,
and of all the Earth Science listeners, we know that ours are the smartest as well.
Absolutely. Ours are the best because
Proven.
they blend their education with humor.
Humor.
And that makes them better than everybody else. Better. So don't
Better
you forget
than
it.
you.
You heard it right now.
You're the best.
You're the best. But for those of you who want to have this fact that you don't already know, but I know that you know, there is a big difference between climate and the temperature outside. Those are two different things.
They are.
And a lot of times you'll hear things like, well, the climate there can't be global warming because it's getting colder. Or, there was an example of a senator, I think he was from Oklahoma, who went into the Supreme Court, or not Supreme Court, House, Senate with a snowball and was like, see this? This is why the world isn't warming. And he used a snowball as an example. And you go, that's not accurate because we're not talking about the day-to-day outdoor temperature. We're talking about the trend of the Earth's climate in general. Right. And that's where we're seeing some changes.
Right. And when you change certain parameters, you get larger swings. Mm-hmm. So you get hotter on one side, you get colder on the other side.
Yep.
And then you also get just more unpredictable weather. And so you see more hurricanes.
Hurricanes.
Yeah, you see more you see more polar vortexes, you see more storms, you see more drought, you see more flood, you see more of just random stuff as the earth kind of changes. Yeah.
You do. And that's the thing that we're noting that it's important is that when I started researching this, of course you see comments and people saying like, the world is always changing and things are getting cold and getting warm and the Mother Nature knows what it's doing. And I would say...
And to some degree, that's true.
To some degree, you are right. Yeah. And that is very, very true. Yep. But this is one of those instances where you kind of need to rely upon the data. It needs to be about the data. You need to not get caught up in people's arguments about what they feel. It needs to go back to, well, let's just look at the scientific data and what we're seeing and the evidence there. And it's not something you have to search very long for. If you just go to NASA, they're like, look, here's literally since the last ice age, here's this number that we never went over as quickly. And now we have gone over it fast.
Yeah.
And it's been since the start of the 20th century and the start of the Industrial Revolution and the start of cars and buildings and factories and all the things that we're doing has definitely we've sped up the process. And so we need to be,
right? We are producing more greenhouse gas.
Yes.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. I mean, I think it's nice to deny that. And look, you've tricked me into doing a global warming episode, and I've
a climate change one. We changed the term, right? Because global warming, it was one of those things where I think that the people behind the movement were like, that didn't work.
Actually, I think it was the other side that changed it. Yeah,
really?
because climate change was more acceptable for people to have than global warming.
Global warming didn't make sense.
It is warming.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, where the average temperature is warming.
Yes.
On average,
and that's actually
is warming.
What's causing the Arctic? But I want you to go on. That's what's causing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who here didn't watch the what's that movie with Dennis Quaid?
Is it The Day After Tomorrow?
The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an interesting movie, interesting concept, right? Yeah. The idea that and that's basically to a much slower, more realistic extent. I mean, in that one, it's just like you're standing there and all of a sudden there's a great freeze that you can only survive if you're in a Wendy's and you turn on all of the burners at once.
Everybody knows that's how you survive
in a Wendy's.
An ice age.
Yeah. I mean, the people who were in the helicopter, they just turned into frozen glass. But if you're in the Wendy's and the burners are on,
you're fine.
You're going to be great. Mm-hmm. You're just going to be fine.
That should be the Wendy's slogan. We often talk about the business slogans.
Yeah.
Wendy's should incorporate safe during an ice age.
Safe during an ice age.
Yeah. And then they'll get tons of business.
Oh man, I'd go there.
I would too.
Nah, no kidding.
Good square burgers.
Oh, I love the square burgers.
I actually really do too.
I know people who won't eat them because they're square. Like I won't eat a square burger. I'm like, why? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
They're the Minecraft of burgers.
Oh, I love the square burgers. Like this is so odd. It's great. It's fun.
I love it too. What an unusual choice, right? Yeah. The rest of the world was making these circular burgers, and Wendy's was like, no. Squares. It's great. Anyway,
tangential but worth it.
But worth it. Go on.
But the concept, and it's a fair one to wrap your head around. The concept is that if you increase the amount of heat, then you increase the amount of moisture.
Yeah.
And if there's more moisture in the air, then you have more moisture in places, where it's warmer, down in here. I mean, there's a lot more of it there, but you also get more moisture in places where it stays colder.
Yeah.
And the poles they're warmer, and certainly in places like, but we look a lot at the North Pole because the North Pole you have a changing sheet of ice that gets thicker and thinner and thicker and thinner, and and recently it's been much thinner than normal, and it goes away even at parts of the year before it comes back.
That's right.
Because you don't get a lot of snow in either of those spots because there's not a lot of moisture up there because it's so cold.
It usually just sticks around for a very long time.
So you'll have but now what happens is that once you add all this moisture, suddenly you're getting wetness into areas that can freeze it.
Yeah.
And then that causes all sorts of mischief as that comes down farther south and creates wonderful winter storms that cover everything into madness, and potentially, if the reaction is big enough and wild enough, could kick you into an ice age.
Yeah.
Which is much worse than a warming age. Yeah. Just so you all know, if it's an ice age, we're talking hundreds of feet of
snow,
of ice that just crushes and destroys
everything.
Whereas
global warming, like a planetary heat up, will be
you have to move inland.
Yeah.
You have to move in, like it's bad. There's a lot more ways
we probably can cope with it.
If you have land, you can figure things out. Possibly, you have some options. But if you kick it into an ice age, then you have limits on where you can live because there isn't a lot of land in the middle of the planet.
Yep.
So
that's why I'm working on those fur jackets, the built-in fur jackets, since I talked about last time.
But that, so it's, anyways, it's an interesting theory he posited by obviously a quality movie with the Wendy scene.
No, absolutely.
But something to take a look at, and to some degree, what is a little bit happening.
Yeah, and
a little bit.
Again,
we're not talking
totally
day after tomorrow.
We're not. Don't worry, you're not going to wake up tomorrow. Although some of you in the Midwest are waking up tomorrow and going, "What happened?"
Right. But you're not going to flash freeze.
You're not going to flash freeze
like they do in the movies.
But I wanted to explain, and this is the part of the show where I am going to pretend that I didn't just read and learn all of this stuff, but I just knew it instinctively, like Noel does, of what a polar vortex is,
Yay,
and how it has started to come our way recently.
Yay.
And this is what it is. So a polar vortex is not new. This exists in the North and the South Poles. This is just swirling of winds that go west to east, and they go in a circle, and they go in a circle, and they go in a circle, and that's they are drawn closer to the poles, right?
You're doing great.
Then there is a jet stream that separates the polar vortexes from the lower latitudes. There's a stream of jet stream wind that's going, and it's keeping that up there and that down there, and keeping us away from those winds. But
keeping us warm.
Keeping us warm.
Now look at. I'll let you get right back to it. But look at the United Kingdom of England.
Yeah.
If you look at where it is on the map,
right,
and where it stands as compared to, which there was one in front of you, well, you'd see, but where it sits compared to other things that are up there, it should be frozen.
Right.
It should be a lot colder than it is, and yet it stays fairly temperate because the jet stream flows right over it.
Yes, and it keeps. Yeah, that's right. I remember you telling me about that. Oh, I mean, I already knew that because I'm very, very, very smart.
You are. Go on.
But
I'm sorry. Go on.
So no, it's keeping it. So it's blowing it away, and so that's what really keeps us away from that polar vortex, that Arctic blast coming down here most of the time.
Arctic blast, isn't that a Gatorade flavor?
I think so. I think so, and it's a good one.
It is.
But once the temperature of the North Pole and South Pole becomes less different than the jet streams themselves, that once the temperature becomes a little bit warmer, and this goes back to the point of saying what's causing the cold is actually the warm.
Right.
That jet stream kind of weakens and isn't able to keep that air up there anymore, and it leaks down to us, and that's where it's coming from. Did I do it?
You did it. You're brilliant.
That's the polar vortex. That's what we're experiencing, is that it's like we had this band of protection, and it just got a little bit weakened.
Yeah.
And so now we're getting kicked in the face. Well, you guys are getting kicked in the face. We're doing fine.
And that is likely to happen more often.
Yes.
And it will make crazy winters.
It will.
And our summers, because it's hotter, will be hotter.
Yeah.
So it's something to look at. It's a reason to think about, what can I do to produce a few less greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And as we've said before, and we'll always say again, it's not just global warming.
Right.
But some things, are absolutely affected by climate change.
Yeah. I wanted to share just this. This is from the NASA thing, because I wanted to give some real hard facts. The rest of the stuff were articles that say, like, why these polar vortexes are linked to climate change and all that stuff. We've covered that. But this is just something that you should kind of we're going to get sciencey. Okay.
Yay.
Earth's climate has changed throughout history.
Of course.
So we would not disagree with anybody who says, well, it always goes through these fluctuations. It does. Absolutely, and it regulates itself and it heals itself whether we're on it or not. Right?
And by the way, sorry to keep cutting you off.
No,
but
you are not. You are adding.
One of the things that you need to look at as a human being on this planet is that Earth will regulate itself.
Yeah.
And that if we don't do something to let Earth regulate itself at a more steady, measurable, regular time, we may not be able to keep up with the regulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could go ahead and get rid of us.
And just say, I'm done with these annoying people that are crowding up my planet.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the George Carlin joke that the Earth's going to be fine. And that's true. But the fact is, do you want your grandkids to live on it?
Yeah.
Do you want your great grandkids? Whatever. Do you want your generations to continue to be able to use it?
Yeah.
And be on it?
Yeah.
And look, some of this stuff will happen naturally. Some of the stuff will happen, cyclically. But the thing about it is we are pretty smart. And if you give people enough time, we come up with solutions. We come up with ways to survive. We come up with new technologies that fix little problems here and there, right? So the whole thing here that we're talking about is literally buying time so we can figure stuff out.
Yes.
And if it changes too quickly, we can't and we won't. And that's where the problems get to be more serious. Because the environment is going to change. Yeah. It'll get warmer, it'll get colder, it'll do what it's going to do. Yeah. Just carry on.
That's it. No, that's it. Spot on. Just in the last 650,000 years, there have been 7.
Is that all?
Is that all? There have been 7 cycles of glacial advance and retreat. So this has happened before, 7 times. With the abrupt end, the last one ended abruptly, of the last ice age about 11,700 years ago, marking the beginning of the modern climate era and of human civilization. So like right around the end of that, humans start coming around, right?
That's when the aliens dropped us from spaceships
11,700 years ago.
Onto the planet to start settling it.
You know it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Most of these climate changes are attributed to very small variations in Earth's orbit that change the amount of solar energy our planet receives. So that's how the changes have been since we got here.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
But this is a time that they're at least able to measure. There's this neat chart that I'm gonna throw up there. It says, here's the years before today, goes all the way there. I'm gonna throw it up right there. It's basically the chart that shows, hey, look at all those variations. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. But recently,
this spike is higher than the other ones.
Yes, and so that's the idea behind it is, it's not too late. We can continue to grow and figure out ways to get it to come back down, to invent new technologies, to plant more trees, to combat this problem.
Look, there is awareness of it.
Yeah,
people care about it.
They do.
More people care about it now
more than ever.
Than don't. Right?
Absolutely.
We are in the right. We're going the right direction.
Yes,
people
I
are
agree.
looking at it. People are taking it seriously. I remember when we were kids, the whole thing was the ozone layer is going to disappear.
I remember
and
that.
We're all going to fry.
Yeah, you saw people with like the Aquanet hairsprays and were like, they're tearing a hole
gonna
in the
kill
ozone
us all,
layer. Yes,
right?
yeah,
and then there was education.
Yeah.
And then we realized what caused it.
Yep.
And then the technology changed.
Yeah.
And then we stopped producing so many chlorofluorocarbons.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
And it's patching itself back up.
Yeah.
So we can fix it.
We can fix it.
It's not hopeless. The data that says that we'd be dead in 2030 was
how do
I put it? All right. Potentially accurate.
Yeah.
But there was also data in the same report that said absolutely nothing will change in 2030. And that was potentially accurate. Those were the two extreme points of view.
Yes.
In the same report that was used. Now, in order to get people to be active and to move, the extreme point of view was made popular and made mainstream. But the actual scientific point of view was things are changing.
Yes.
There's a problem. We can fix it with technology. We need to buy time.
Yeah.
That was the
a real
scientific message. That's what scientists wanted you to hear.
Yeah.
What you got from a freaked out media was we're all going to die in 2030. It's not.
Yeah.
That's not
going to happen.
It's not true.
We're going to be here.
So it's good. We're learning. People are looking at it. People are becoming more aware of it. And the same thing will happen. I believe that because I know people care, because of the amount of energy and attention going towards the problem is massive. It's fantastic.
Massive.
And you look even at the new administration is, they're taking it pretty seriously to put us back in the Paris Accord and looking at what we can do. I think that what we need to start to really look at is how can we encourage, some of the other polluters, some of our neighbors, because we share the planet, right? It's not just America that produces emissions. I mean, you see that industrialism is really growing up in Asia, and it's really China. I mean, it's blown up to that's where most everything's made, right?
Yes.
China. I mean, we've exported most of our greenhouse gas emissions to China, basically by having things get made there.
That's true.
So the pollution still exists. It's still warming up the planet. It's just now we've hit it. We've hit it over on the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
So it's, we have to start looking at, okay, so now how can we engage with our neighbors and get them to take it as seriously as we are?
Yeah.
Because it's a worldwide problem.
It is. Absolutely. And so, essentially I have my data here, but really we hit what I wanted to talk about, which was for those who are experiencing these, tons of snow and cold temperatures, and it seems a little much, it is absolutely a result of what we're beginning to see, this change in the world. But to Noel's point, the conversation, we don't even have to convince most people anymore.
No.
They know that this seems, okay, something's amiss.
Well, and I think also the fact that it has been forced along by some people have just forced it.
Yeah.
People, like Tesla as an example that we constantly use, and I apologize for constantly using the same example.
No, but it's a good example
an easy one.
of how all of a sudden the thought and the wavelength of the entire country changed.
Yeah, because now it's not so scary to have an electric car. Right. Now it's not as frightening. It's not as evil. And over time, it'll become less frightening and less frightening. And more people will be like,
yeah,
I don't care how my car drives.
Yeah,
so long as it drives.
Exactly.
Right, and so that's really it's being forced. And that's in the end, I think people are finding like, okay, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah,
this isn't as terrible as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
and that's as more of that happens, more people are going to embrace it, and we're going to be willing to try different things because the fact of the matter is we can technologically fix this without throwing ourselves back into the Stone Ages.
Yeah,
if we're smart.
I agree. And that was Noel's thought of the day. No. I don't know. I wanted to brand it.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah, but no, polar vortexes are cool, man. They're interesting.
It's fascinating. And even when we were living through it during House Hunger, and I heard the term polar vortex and these Arctic blasts and all that, like the Gatorade drink.
Absolutely.
I didn't take the time to read what was causing it. It was just one of those things that you hear. And then I was like, okay, well, the papers are talking about the online, the news sites are talking about it again. And I was like, okay, well, what is this thing? And it's not that the vortex itself is new. It's just that getting here is new. It
happens.
It's
right?
happening.
It happened to
quickly.
us in 2014, right?
Yeah,
So it happens, and back then I remember Buffalo had I think it was like 9 feet of snow or something.
Yeah.
And granted that's a lot higher than here.
Yeah.
But that went pretty deep. When it happens, it goes deep, and you do get these crazy storms all over the place. It's just when they happen more often.
Yeah.
And when they happen more severely.
Yeah.
It's just a reminder that. This is serious.
Yeah,
this is something we got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So we won't beat you over the head with this all the time, but every once in a while we got to remind you that
climate change is an actual thing.
This is a thing. We got to pay attention to it, and little things that you can do help. Using your air conditioner slightly less, oddly enough, helps a lot because it's a source of energy, right? So one thing we don't think about with I guess we'll do our solution moment right now.
Yeah, do it. I have zero solutions, so go ahead.
No problem. Yeah, with climate change, it's like, what am I going to do? Buy an electric car? That's ridiculous. It costs $70,000, right? And they have no insurance, and if I crash it, I've lost my money. And there's a million reasons. If you're like, I'm not ready to do that. Plus, I don't want to have to be stuck in the desert with no gas station around.
Right.
I get all that.
Yeah.
So I understand that. So we're not going to tell you to go buy an electric car.
Yeah.
Right. And we've already got into the issues that still need to be solved for electric cars.
They have their own set of problems as well.
Before they're greenhouse gas neutral.
Yeah.
But you can do little things because the biggest issue isn't really you driving. That is an issue, but that's not as much of an issue because a lot more has been done to clean that up than in other industries just because it's been a problem for a long time because cars cause smog and people hate smog. So as part of cleaning up smog, there's been some good effects also on greenhouse gases because they're related. Energy is the biggie.
Yeah.
That's where we create the most greenhouse gases, really. I mean, and so what you want to do is find ways that you can, be a little more mindful about how much energy you're using, right? And so an air conditioner, as an example, is something that uses a ton of energy. Yeah. You'll notice sometimes when your air conditioner turns on in your home that the whole house dims for a second. Yeah, right. As it goes. It's because it's pulling so much energy in one moment in order to get started that it's sucking it from everywhere else. Yeah. So they require a lot. So if you wanted to, one little thing you could do is to just turn your thermostat a little bit warmer.
Yeah, a little bit warmer.
So that you can and get used to dealing with that. Maybe get a kiddie pool to wade in or something outside.
Yeah, it's been that's hard for me because I'm Mr. Sweaty McSweaterson, but I too have gone. Well, we can't keep this house in the freezing all summer long. I have to get comfortable with finding other ways to cool off.
Right, and that's That's life.
That's life.
And when it's hotter outside, it's even harder to do.
Yeah.
But hey, like there's water, there's water play.
There's margaritas.
There's margaritas.
That's the thing.
There's walking around in the nude.
Exactly. And my neighbors don't like that I do that, but you know what? I'm trying to save the planet.
You know what? Wait to have your shower until midday and have a cold one.
Cold shower and margaritas and nude lounging. And then who cares about a hot summer day?
That's it.
Right.
I mean, that's one little
that's just
thing
one solution
you
from the
could
Biofriendly
look at
planet.
is something like that. And then just look around. Where are ways that I can... if you own your home, can you find ways to do a better job of sealing it so less of the cold air escapes?
Yeah.
Things like that.
These are a lot of the tips that we talk about all the time on Biofriendly Planet, on all of our social media. We're always trying to share little things to help you improve.
Yeah. Because the other stuff helps too. Like you get solar panels, it does help.
Yeah.
If you try to do something like the electric car, this stuff does help. It's better, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be expensive. Sometimes it's difficult to do, and it's not the solution yet.
Yeah.
It isn't because we don't have the technology yet for it to be the solution.
Right.
So it really does come down to, how much can you change your lifestyle a little bit to suffer a little more?
Yeah.
And if everybody does that, it actually would make a really big difference.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
That's it, baby. That's the end of another glorious Biofriendly podcast. By the way, please tell your friends. I hope you're already subscribed. If this is your first episode, please come back and see us again. And
we'll
tell
give
your
you
friends.
nonsense like this all the time.
All the time. Yeah. But we love our fans and supporters of the show, and we want to keep spreading the word and educating people and making them laugh and have a good time and learning a thing or two.
That's kind of the point.
That's the point of it all. Yeah. So we are your beacon of light in a gloomy environment.
Carefully avoiding neonicotinoids.
We are the Siegfried and Roy of podcasts.
And we say bye-bye.
I love it. Cheerio.
Oh, cheerio. Shoot. Done. I said
you
a bad
blew
word.
it again.
I did it again. Jacob.
It's okay. That's our sign to stop.
I said a naughty word.
Classic Noel.
Cheerio.
It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.